Well, joining us today is Shaunti Feldhahn, and Shaunti, you're a friend of mine, and when they said, who do you want, and I said, people that I know, safe people, safe people. But Shaunti wrote a wonderful book for women only, and it's a fabulous book. Welcome to the show.
It's good to be on.
To
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have an analytical background. I have sort of a master's degree. It's very analytical, and I knew that if I was really surprised, women wouldn't believe me about what I was finding, and it couldn't just be my opinion. And so I ended up hiring, God made a wonderful way for me to hire a professional survey company to do a big national, scientific, nationally representative survey of men. So I realized everything I'd been hearing in all these informal interviews was true. I hadn't just interviewed the 100 weirdest men on the planet, you know.
Welcome back, and I'm going to welcome myself back. I'm glad to be here with Lisa, and we both joined you and Shaunti.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit. I don't think you really got into
I neglected to sort of give you your credentials and let people know a little bit about you.
You're smart people.
You started your career on Wall Street and on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
More of an analytical background. Probably never saw yourself writing books and speaking.
No.
But also you're a syndicated newspaper columnist now and author of multiple books. And Lisa Rice, you're joining us. You're an experienced screenwriter, producer. You write for lots of different magazines and things, and so you bring a lot to the table as well as your experience.
The subtitle of the book is Getting Inside the Head of Your Kid, and that's what we're trying to help parents do.
real answers from real kids, right from their heart.
What they're really thinking that they might never really feel able to tell you as their parents.
Well, and one of the things that you found was that kids want freedom, but that's kind of ambiguous. And we as parents say, okay, what do you mean by freedom?
Operationalize that term just a bit.
Actually, that was one of our biggest surprises. We had focus groups after this. You know, we did all the mall stuff, the man on the street stuff. Then we did like 9 focus groups of real kids. In-depth focus groups. And then we took what we heard there and did the big national, professional, expensive survey, just like Shaunti had done on her other books.
Okay.
But this was one of the things that we just loved hearing, is that freedom was such a biggie for the kids. You know, we were interviewing a guy and he said, you know, we said, what do you hate about your parents? What are they just not getting? And one kid said, well, I just hate, you know, when my parents take away my cell phone. We're like, did your parents pay for that cell phone? And he'd be like, well, yeah, I guess, but they just can't take my stuff away. And another kid would say, I hate when they ground me from the car. I've got to have my wheels. Or another person, I've got to have my MySpace. And so we found that each kid had like their trigger thing that was sort of their freedom. And as we got going, we found, you know, and we say in the book, you know, your kids are addicted. They really are. And what they're addicted to is freedom. You know, that is the thing that is controlling our kids, starting at what?
Really starting in the preteen years, honestly. The thing that I had never realized, once we started hearing all these funky things, we actually went to a family therapist who deals with adolescents, and I'm like, what is it that's going on underneath? And she said, you know what? Freedom is like cocaine to a teenager. It's addictive. It feels so good. Because think about it, they've never had it before. If they wanted to go to the grocery store, they had to ask you. I mean, now they can go on their own. It's like, oh. And the thing that's really so important for parents to realize, not only does it feel so good, they are terrified of losing it. They are terrified of losing that wonderful feeling of freedom. So there's this like knee-jerk response that a lot of kids have to think, oh, if I tell mom and dad this, they're going to take my favorite freedom away. And so they'll actually, unfortunately, even great Christian kids, they admit it. They lie, cheat, and steal sometimes. They'd deceive mom and dad, they'd hide things and try to think, well, hopefully they won't think I'm being too bad, you know, in order to avoid the possibility they're going to lose that cherished freedom.
Is the freedom associated with the whole social network that's going on now? Because when you mentioned the car to go places, the cell phone, the Facebooks, I know that when we ground our middle daughter, she's a very social person, and so we know the thing that's the most important to her would be that email.
That's her favorite freedom. I mean, and the thing, here's the thing that I really want parents to hear. This really, because we can think, well, too bad, they lose their freedom, you know, and obviously that's sometimes very necessary. But what we want parents to realize is that what's going on inside the kid, it's not just an addiction, and it's not just that it feels so good and they're terrified of losing it. Freedom, one kid, the way he put it, he said, when I first got my fill in the blank, car, cell phone, whatever, I felt like a real person for the first time. And that's a terrifying feeling of losing. They've gotten this wonderful feeling of being a real person. They're so scared of losing it. And so what we found for the parents to realize, yeah, sometimes losing the freedoms may be the important thing to do, but realize that is the nuclear bomb of discipline to a kid. And there may be some options that you can use that are things like extra chores or working to pay back an accident, like what happened with one of Lisa's daughters. And they internalize the lesson without the resentment that mom and dad are taking away something that's so precious, and we don't often even know that that is.